Art can mean different things to different people. For me, it's all about the joy of creativity. So if you draw, paint, write, dance, sing, craft, play air guitar, or even sculpt using nothing more than mashed potatoes, consider yourself an artist and join our conversation. For the next half hour, meet the artist and learn about their inspiration while we all enjoy the beauty of creativity. Welcome to Season 2 of Art Talk with John Cole Artist. Well, hey everybody, it's John Cole Artist. Welcome. It's Tuesday. It's a Tuesday in November. I think it's the 11th, maybe 12th, something like that. Hey, I'm super excited about tonight, not just because I'm going to be talking about something that I really enjoy, but I'm super excited because, we're moving more towards Thanksgiving. We're moving more towards Christmas. And of course, that's a very exciting time of year. And I think from an artistic perspective, it does give us a lot of inspiration, right? So with inspiration in mind, what I wanted to talk to you guys tonight about is the art of home movie making. Now, to get this thing going tonight, what I was planning to do is Christine's on. She says, hello, love. And I want to say hello to you, Christine. Christine has watched every single show since I started almost 2 years ago. So thank you. But what I wanted to do tonight, my intention was to share with you the software that I use to make what I would call home movies. And we'll talk about how I'm defining that in a minute. And I didn't think to check to see how the software was going to work through StreamYard, which is what I'm using as my broadcast system. 15 minutes ago, I sat down to test it all out and the audio isn't working. Wouldn't you know it, right? So come to find out that what I need to do is I need to somehow take the audio from this other piece of software, in this case, DaVinci Resolve, and mix it with the audio that you're hearing over the speaker audio or the microphone audio here. Mix the two together and push it out on the stream so that you guys can hear what I'm hearing. And it wasn't working. So at the very last second, fortunately, the software gods were smiling. I downloaded a beta version of Wavelink from Elgato Software. And thankfully it works. So hopefully, I asked Christine that if the audio isn't working to hurry up and rush over to my office space here to let me know so you guys, so I can at least, work around it. But I think it's going to work. So that's the good news. So that's what I wanted to talk about. So what exactly do I mean by home movie making? I mean, for some of us that are a little bit older of the Generation X persuasion, we're very familiar with things like 8mm cameras. We're familiar with Super 8 cameras, and all those back in the day were just like the old days of film, where you had to load up your camera with a cartridge, take your movie, just like you would see in Hollywood, right, with the thin tape, which when you had it developed were actually stills, right, and then the stills would repeat one after another, just like an animation, and then you would see movement, and then these cameras, these Super 8 or these 8mm would basically film. You would send it away for developing, get it back, slap it on a projector, show it up on the wall, and there's your home movie, right? And then, of course, we moved into VHS, and that was another utility that we had, another method for capturing, except this time, instead of photographic film, we would capture it magnetically on tape. So it was all magnetic tape that you would then, when you're done recording, pop it into your video cassette recorder or your video cassette player and watch it on your television set. And of course, these days now, we've shifted, everything's digital, right? We've got our phones, and our phones typically have some pretty good high-end camera equipment built in, whether or not it's an iPhone or a Samsung or a Razr or something like that. It takes some very impressive video. And of course, the old days, we would take these 8mm films of our kids or of our Christmas gatherings or Thanksgiving or something. And that would be kind of our memory of that period, that while we would hand down to our children and our children's children, clearly over time, I'm not even sure if we still have the equipment to be able to play those things. If I had an old film roll, how would I play it? Well, I can't, right? But these days, everything is digital, which means that we have this flexibility now to share every aspect of our lives, and we do. We absolutely do. We've got TikTok, we've got Instagram, we've got Facebook, and who knows what's coming in the future. We'll probably have some new type of interface system where we can capture these memories. Um, And I'm gonna leave it at that for a moment, because the big question when it comes to capturing these memories is, what do we do with them? What are we doing with our video? You know, yeah, things like TikTok, things like Facebook, things like Instagram, we're able to capture these moments. We're able to share them with our friends. Uh, but then what? What do we do with them? You know, in the old days, I think we would. Well, I think it was the same issue, back in the 70s and 80s with film. What do we do with our film? And we maybe pull them out once a year to watch them, and then after a while, you're like, I'm sick of looking at it, you know. But when you think about it, the video that we take, the movies that we take of our lives, really are part of our history. They're a video part of our history, which is great. I mean, these days we're seeing things, especially with the introduction of AI. And I know there's a lot of people that don't like it, but one of the interesting things people are doing is they're taking photographs, for example, of when they were little, photographs of how they are today, and basically merging the two so it looks like, in a video format, that their old self and their young self are together and they're able to interface, which is truly a fascinating idea when you think about it, because you're bringing the past and the present together into this new thing, right? That's a really cool way then of telling your story, I think. John's opinion. The other side of the coin, we take this video, we push it out on social media, and it ends up maybe not being what we should be telling our future selves. Sometimes we say things we don't mean. Sometimes we act a certain way that probably shouldn't be put out there for everybody to see, but unfortunately that's what happens, and that then also becomes our history. So I think when it comes to the storytelling aspect of our lives with video specifically, I think the big question we have to ask ourselves today, when we have our cell phone cameras, is what message are we sending to our future self, and more importantly, what legacy are we leaving behind as other generations come ahead of us looking back at us? What type of life do we want to portray? And I think that's where the at-home movie making capability comes in, because I think it's more than just short snippets of our lives. I think we have an opportunity to really build a time capsule of our lives as it is right now, that we can then present to our future selves or other generations further on. And we do the same thing already with photographs. I think there's a lot of us, if we're really fortunate, we have residual photographs from when we were tiny little children, perhaps, or even our ancestors, our great grandparents, our second great grandparents, right? Because photography really came into its own in the early to mid 1800s. So some of us, like myself, I've got photographs that are over 150, pushing 200 years old, that are a historical part of my history, my family's history, and the history moving forward. So that's what I mean by the storytelling aspect, is that we have this opportunity now to be able to take these video moments that we capture across time and really use them not only for our own personal benefit, but also as a storytelling for us moving forward. And I think it's a really great opportunity, specifically in light of the fact that we now have tools that can host things, at least at present, forever. YouTube's a great example. YouTube's free of charge for those that are familiar with it. You can record whatever you want on your cell phone. You can then take that video, put it on YouTube, and it will be there forever. Forever, as long as there's this digital aspect that we're able to tap into, right? And that's kind of what I've been doing. Now, if what I want to do is I want to share really quick my my YouTube page quickly here, and hopefully this is coming through. And there we go. And what I wanted to do, what I wanted to show you on here is kind of what I'm doing in terms of storytelling, right? If you look at my page, I have it broken up into different segments. Like this segment here, I've got the Art Talk Lives, which this episode will show up when it's done on the Art Talk Live, right? As a oral history of what and who I've been talking to for the last 2 years. And also because this has this longevity, because YouTube has longevity, for years to come, people can tap back into this and borrow the video, share it on the internet or whatever they need to do with it. Same thing with guest appearances. Guest appearances is that idea where I've showed up on other people's podcasts, and now I have access to that, and then I can share that moving forward as well. But what I really wanted to focus on here was the series down here that I'm calling micro documentaries. Now, I had this idea where I would be able to take my trip to the Southwest last summer. I bought a brand new GoPro. I had my cell phone with me. And what I wanted to do is I wanted to capture the entire trip. And then I wanted to produce what I was calling micro documentaries. And what's really cool about these micro documentaries, looking back on it now, since there's almost been a 6-month gap between the trip and today, is how much this video that I captured really brings me back into that moment, and I think that that's the other beautiful thing about storytelling through video, specifically in your at home or your homemade videos of your lives, is you're able to capture these moments, not only to share with other people that are interested, but also for yourself. Because when I look back at specifically things like the Daysite Mine, which is this video right here, let me click on this real quick and hope.
Present in abandoned mines that are not ventilated. Enter at your own risk.
Okay, and what's really about, and I'm just going to fast forward a bit, is when I get into sections that, like inside the mine.
Watch out for the bees.
Right. So
the bats.
Me looking at this video today really brings me back to that moment in time where I can still feel and smell and experience what it was like to be walking through that. And I think that's so cool. That's a really cool thing. So how did I put it all together? I wanted to talk about that a little bit, because if you take the time to watch any of my short videos here, I use a particular format and I use a particular software to pull it all together. And I wanted to share a little bit about how I do that and show you how I do the editing. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to stop presenting that screen, and I'm going to share my other screen, which is right here. Now, what you're seeing here is and first of all, when I look at this, I'm immediately overwhelmed. I'm like, oh my gosh, what the hell am I looking at here? Well, this is a software package called DaVinci Resolve. It is by far one of the best software packages that you can download for either Mac or for Windows. What's really good about it is it's absolutely free, right? If you guys are familiar with CapCut, I think a lot of folks these days are using CapCut on their phones, or there is a desktop version as well where you can put together videos. It's basically, I'm not gonna say it's the same, because this is by far a much better software package. But what's nice about it is both softwares allow you to bring things together, disparate pieces of video, audio, and even still photography, bring it all in, and then you create your story, whether or not it's for TikTok, if you're using CapCut, or something like DaVinci Resolve here, which is much more robust, but the concepts are the same, right? So this software here, and I'm going to go ahead and show you here, looks overwhelming when you look at it, and there's probably more pieces in here that I will ever use. But it has everything that you really need in order to make your own movies. Now, with DaVinci Resolve, it is absolutely free, but there are certain sections that you can't use, and that's only because they do want you to buy the full version. But trust me when I say that those things that you can't use or don't have access to really don't affect you that much. Matter of fact, I don't think I ever had to once use one of the parts of this that basically you can only use if you buy full version. So this is what it looks like when I'm creating my short micro documentaries. And I'm just going to hit the play button over here really quick to show you how you see up in the main window here, you see the section or the video playback. And then down here, you see it run across this timeline. And this is a video for Chaco Canyon that I have not put out yet. So you're basically seeing a little bit of behind the scenes. And in a second here, I'm going to stop it, but I just wanted to show you some of the elements.
So I'm at the side of the road here. I just made the left-hand turn on Chaco Canyon Road, and it got me thinking, why don't a lot of people come here? Why don't a lot of people know about it? And it could be because
it's because that road was absolute mud, you know, and that's one of the fun parts with putting together this video is as I'm watching it now, I'm thinking back to what it was like for that trip. And when I first got there, and this is out in the middle of New Mexico someplace, monsoon season had started earlier, so everything was soaking wet. The roads were horrible, and I got stuck. Well, I stand corrected. I almost got stuck. Other people got stuck. It just was a very bad scene. But let me just explain a little bit about this interface that you're seeing. Down at the bottom here, you're seeing the timeline, right? And I can drag this timeline back and forth. You'll see that it's split into a video portion up at the top. And if I scroll down, you can see the different elements. And then down below here, you see a section which is the audio portion. And what's nice is all this stuff you can move around. I can drag all this around if I want and move this over here if I want to. You can see this here. Because cut off that video. I can also trim this stuff. There's a way to, I move this over a little bit, grab one side of it here. Notice that the cursor changes and I can now cut the video there. Notice it's black here, and then I can take this and delete this section out. And that's how you can split video up so that you can remove sections that you don't want and then merge the stuff together. And what's really nice also is it has a whole slew of filters and transitions and things like that. And I'll show you an example. You'll notice that when I did this edit here, I'm using multiple screens, so I'm not sure where my cursor is. I created this split right here. And what I can do is, if you notice, if I play right now, it's going to just cross that and then flip to the next scene. A lot of people, right? So here I am talking, and then I flip over to the next scene. What I can do is I can go over to the video transitions, click on that. You'll notice there is a whole bunch of different things that I can use. For example, if I wanted it to transition with a heart, I could select that, or a star, or any of this stuff, right? So all I'd have to do is click, drag, and drop it right over. And then if I hit the play button, you'll see that it accepts that transition, and it becomes then part of that film, or part of the scene, right? So it's just a matter of dragging and dropping things in. Up here on the upper left, you'll see in this corner right here, you can import whatever you need. If I wanted to, let's say, import a photograph, what I can do is I can do File, Import Media, and what I'll do is I will find a picture. Let's see here, Documents. Where's my miscellaneous folder? MNOPQRS. There we go. And we'll click this picture. I'm going to open this up, and you'll notice I just imported this picture right here. I can drag and drop it. Okay. And here's the picture I just imported, which is a AI created UFO blasting a house. I don't know why I decided to do that. I just thought it was cool. And then these adjustments where it says transform in the upper right-hand corner here, I can zoom in the picture a little bit. I can move it up and down, left and right. I can then adjust it any way I want. And then
why don't a lot of people,
depending on where I put it and how I want it to appear, there it is right there. And this also can have a transition on it. If I wanted this, for example, to dissolve in, I can click and drag, drop the dissolve function right at the front end here.
A lot of people,
when I click play, it dissolves right there. Okay, so that's basically how that works: is you drag and drop, put everything together in your basically storytelling using audio, video, and still photography. Now, one of the questions that people have asked me in the past is, where do I get things like, well, let's just say, for example, on this, and I don't have it right now, is let's say I want music. Where am I going to get music from? If any of you guys used TikTok a while ago, I think it was, who was it? It was one of the record companies, I guess, lost their deal with TikTok, and they had to pull all their music collection off of the platform because it was no longer licensed to be used. And that's the key thing, is in order for you to use other people's music, you have to have permission to use it. Otherwise, you are basically stealing it, right? If I were to slap on a Pearl Jam song, Pearl Jam can sue me for using the music without asking. So where do I get my music from? Well, the easiest way to do it and the safest way to do it, if you're planning to take your video and post it to TikTok, is when you're creating your video in TikTok, use the music that they offer. Pretty simple. Thing is, the music on TikTok isn't necessarily the same music that's available on YouTube, right? So if you're going to be primarily pushing your video to YouTube as a hosting platform, my recommendation is to use their music. So I'm going to stop sharing again, and I'm going to go ahead and present my, let's go back over to YouTube here. I'm going to click back on my my channel here, and you're going to notice over here there is where is it at? Let's see, I'm going to click on my videos, which is going to take me into my studio or my dashboard rather, my channel dashboard. And at the bottom, you're going to see something called Audio Library. And if I click on that, I now have access to not only a huge amount of music, which is completely usable on YouTube, but also sound effects, which is really, really nice. So for example, for music, let's say I want something cinematic. Let's click Blue Screen of Death and hear what that sounds like. Ooh, pretty cool. Let's fast forward a bit. See what it sounds like. I don't know if it's that great, but let's go ahead and take it anyway. You'll notice here that the license type here says YouTube audio license. You can use this audio track in any of your videos, including videos that you monetize. No attribution is required. The ones that say no attribution are the easiest ones to use because you can slap them on and use them, and you don't have to worry about giving credit to the musician. You can, because it's nice to do that, but you don't need to. If you want it, just download it. So I'm going to go ahead and download that. And as that's downloading, I'm going to go ahead and stop here, and I'm going to go ahead and okay. Oh, that was my wife just telling me it's still showing YouTube. I'm now going to share the this again, and now I'm going to import. Is it still showing YouTube, Christine? She can't hear me. And what I'm now going to do is I'm going to download or I'm going to import that music. And you'll notice it showed up right here, and then in the screen here, I can just drop the music on the timeline, and then when I play, now you see that I have the music. So it's basically how this works. Is it's a matter of bringing in all your different pieces and then taking the time to combine them. And what's really nice is that's how you can tell your story. Music is important because it also changes and can affect the tone of your movie. If you're creating a, I mean, let's say it's a Halloween type thing. You went out and you did something in Salem, Massachusetts, or you went to some haunted house. You took some video. You can splice it together using DaVinci Resolve or something like Adobe Premiere or CapCut or something like that. And you can, depending on where you clip your different scenes, you can make a very tense movie, or you can make it a very happy movie. You add in the right sounds, right? The scary sounds, you add in the scary music or the sinister music, and you can completely change the tone of your video. So yeah, That's what I use. I use DaVinci Resolve. It is a time-consuming process, so I think if you really want a good product, if you really sit down to start putting things together, it's going to take you a little bit of time to do it. But I think the end result can be a really great thing, and there's just so many features that you could be using, and I'm not going to obviously go into all of them because it is a very complex software. But again, I just want to give you kind of a sampling of how it is that I do that. So yeah, I would love to know if you guys have YouTube channels, and I'd love to see some of your work if you do some video editing to put things together to share your story. I would love to take a look at it. Just send me a link sometime or give me a holler next time I'm going live, and I'll check out your page. Same thing with mine. I encourage you to check out mine to see what I'm doing. I think over time I'll, add more to that. I still have a lot more of my story to tell, and that's a really good opportunity to do that. So, but yeah, so Christmas is coming up soon, like I mentioned at the top of the show. Right now, one of the projects I'm working on is I'm working on some stained glass projects. So if you're interested, let me know. I am doing them on commission. I would be happy to create a stained glass snowflake or something like that for the holiday season coming up. And also I am selling a set of 3 books for $35. And these are the books, two books I wrote chapters in, Behind the Power series by Allison Roberts, along with my book called Seeking Permission, all 3 of which are on Amazon, and $35, and I'll send you all 3 autographed. If you're interested, just reach out to me, direct message me through Facebook or through email or something like that. Next week, I've got an author on, Mickey Hedick from, I think it's Michigan. He's going to be on the show. It's going to be really, really interesting. He's a fiction writer. He's written a couple nonfiction books as well. It's going to be a fascinating show. So hopefully you'll take the time to join me as we go down the rabbit hole on fiction writing specifically, because that's something I've always wanted to do, and I haven't quite gotten there yet. So anyway, that's all I have for this week. I appreciate you guys tuning in, and I hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next Tuesday. Thank you so very much for joining me on the Art Talk podcast, where it's my goal to bring artists together to talk about their craft. If you'd like to join me for a conversation, please reach out via email at johncoleartist@gmail.com or by visiting my website at johnrobertcole.com. So until next time, keep crafting, painting, and inspiring others with your creativity. You make more of an impact than you know. See ya.